Joining me to discuss this is MD CEO Mark Press West Africa Limited, Idowu Salau. Good morning. Good to see you on the program.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Now, let's begin with this report, a very recent report from Lagos State saying about 40% of Lagosians do not have access to sanitation. And I'm wondering, what does this portray? Is it that it portrays a challenge to our being able to manage wastewater and sanitation, or what does this reflect? Because this is an issue that we have struggled with, if I may use the word, over the years.
Well, it's a challenge, a big challenge. Luckily, we just finished the Lagos International Water Conference.
All right.
Last week, just last week, Wednesday. We're able to find out that the data we find on the streets now is not that encouraging. Even though Lagos is at 40%. The study we did in 2005 for the World Bank, it was 52%. But thank God that we have moved a little bit. But the sanitation issue in Nigeria with wastewater, there is no way you talk about sanitation if you don't talk about water production.
Right.
You must increase water. If you increase water production, there will be more people that will have access to sanitary system in terms of using water to do their domestic, and this becomes the wastewater.
Right.
And that is the angle, the study that we did in 2005, that we gave a 10-year plan for sanitation strategy for Lagos. And this came about the issue of when Lagos was trying to access the $200 million water improvement. Right. And the World Bank said, if I improve water system for you, you're going to cause another problem of wastewater management. And that is where we did a study. Okay. We now gave Lagos State the indices of what we find on ground, that a lot of people have this poor flush system, but they don't even have the water.
Right. To
do the poor flush. They even put the sanitary system in their home, no water running. So 90% of Lagos, as at that time, population does not have pipe-borne water. So we resorted to the underground water extraction, borehole, and well. Now, the challenges with wastewater is this. There was a time Lagos was having close to over 800 industries in Lagos. Majority of them in the food and beverages industry. We talk of Coca-Cola, we talk of Guinness, we talk of Reliance Textile.
We don't want to mention their names.
Okay, we talk those that are in the food and beverages industry.
Right.
And those that are in the textile industries.
Right.
They are the major producer of effluent.
Okay.
And none of them even have pre-treatment. That is the standard. You must have a pre-treatment from your factory. So,
and they're not supposed to have that before the factory begins to function.
These are part of in the other climb. These are part of the requirement when you know you are going to be producing large wastewater. So you must have a pre-treatment. In fact, you must have a treatment plant. And there's a standard. We have the law. We have the instrument of intervention by government to handle wastewater. Right. But the infrastructure is what we are lacking right now in Lagos. I don't see any centralized wastewater treatment plant that is functioning.
Is a centralized one what we need? Why not in various locations?
For the industry,
clusters.
You know, we have clusters industry in Ikeja, Igamu, Oshodi, all those areas we have industry. We can, like industries in Ikeja axis, Obakran, they are all piped together in the 60s. And there is a wastewater treatment plant built by the Awolowo Western Region Administration in 1965, the Wemabode Estate treatment plant. What happened to it? It collapsed since in the 80s. And nobody does anything to that. To be able to even rehabilitate it, will I say, what really happened to Lagos in the last 10, 15 years? Most of the industry producing wastewater, they're already moving out. Their factory have been now being converted into warehouses. We are talking about the textile industry, some of them. I'll give you an example of one of the beverages industry producing over 3 million litre, 3.6 million litre of effluent per day. Where are these effluent going to? And some of these effluent are having a kind of IBOD and COD. These are the chemicals they demand, high chemical toxic.
All right. For proper perspective now, let's look at the impact on our environment, because perhaps a lot of persons might be saying, okay, wastewater, is it not just to dispose it? Why is it so much of a concern for people to understand what it is?
It's one waste that you don't see, but the impact is enormous in the society. I give you an example. The sewage is part of wastewater too. Sewage, the human excreta. Worldwide, we have about 2 million tons of sewage entering into water bodies. Yes, when this one, when they enter the water body like that, that's the human excreta. They increase the biological oxidant, the biological, microbiological parameters of water body. We are talking about E. coli, all those, and these are things that cause waterborne diseases.
Right.
That's for human excreta. Now, wastewater from industries. I give you an example of the textile industry that are producing, using dye. The Odoyalaro example. Odoyalaro is not just, there's no magic in Odoyalaro. It is the manufacturing industry upstream of Odoyalaro at Agidi axis. When the clean water is coming, the effluent from the industry, textile, beauty at Agidingbi, Obakran, when they mix, that is where the arrow comes from. And people downstream at Maryland will say, these are this magic Odoyalaro. So the mixture of those chemical content, when they go, they pollute the surface water. And that's the water that enters into the lagoon. And most of the water that we extract from our borehole, they are interwoven. The underground water mixed with the surface water. There's no way. So all these chemical components that are in the wastewater that industry pollute the water body with
comes back to the house.
Comes back to it. Even here in Magodo, where you are here, and the Olusosun dump site, there is what we call attenuation. The leachate that is coming from the percolation of rainwater on waste, it will attract some of these pollutants from the waste, and that too go into the underground water, pollute all the well around this area. So the wastewater treatment plant is very crucial when you talk of managing the wastewater. The effect is that if you look at the water and sanitation is number 6 in the Sustainable Development Goal of the United Nations. And if you want to remove a country from poverty, water and sanitation is number 6. It's there. It's in the indices. So if you now look at, I give you an example of why Nigeria was ranked number 1 in defecation, in open defecation in the world. In fact, surpassing India in 2019. Lagos contributed a little bit there. Reason is that you have about 6,000 trailers, 7,000 trailers coming to Lagos every day, invading Lagos. And each trailer, we have about three people working, coming in with it, and they don't have where to do where to defecate. The entire Surulere, Igamu Aziz, to Apapa, to Amuwo Dolphin, is open defecation everywhere. Who is concerned about that?
Why is it such a difficult venture, if I may use the word, to engage in? Because you have been trying to engage the government since 2005,
yes,
according 2005. To that report.
Yes.
Is it so difficult to make progress that will have that impact that we need? Because when you look at the issues that this could stir up, if not properly managed, it's a lot and it's scary.
See, I still blame it on political interference. One,
how so?
Inconsistency in government policy.
All right.
Yes, that's what I mean by that. Inconsistency. The government is putting interest more on solid waste. In fact, they have not even tackled that. There's another one, which is the wastewater. The industry that's supposed to be able to cooperate with them are saying that government is overtaxing them. So the first thing they need to do is, the law is there. If you want to, Lagos State has passed the law since 2004.
Enforcement is the challenge.
Enforcement one, but the regulatory agency are now coming up to the challenge now. The Lagos State Water Regulatory Agency is now coming into because the issue of the water conference that we did, we're able to go home and let government know that, the data on ground is not what we can talk about in terms of encouragement. So we should do more and less talk. So where we are saying is that infrastructure in wastewater management, all the stakeholders, the government, the industry, even individual homes. I give you an example of people who are building estate in Lekki. Before you give them approval for construction of houses more than 20 buildings, it's in the law. You must have your wastewater treatment plan before you get the building plan permit. So these are things that for the treatment of your sewage and wastewater from home. You cannot open a restaurant in New York without linking to the sewage and wastewater management plan of the city council. It's not possible. Why will an eatery will be discharging its wastewater straight to the open drainage? These are major challenges that we are facing. So if we are going to improve on water supply infrastructure, we should be thinking of improving the water and sanitation, wastewater and sanitation infrastructure too, so that all the two will go pari passu. Because if you leave one, if you increase production of one and you leave one, you cause another problem. Because now we're having serious problem of aquatic animal leaving the scene. That's in the Lagos Lagoon. You hardly see both these private fishermen on Lagos Lagoon anymore. By the time you get there, when they put their net, they are coming out with solid waste. Most of the water is polluted with high chemical demand, BOD and COD. So this killing the aquatic animals. Because the wastewater are not being treated. You remember the days of Ido, where the raw sewage during the Agbepo in those days in the afternoon they throw the women excreta into the lagoon. It still continues. Go to the Yalaro. And that's where I blame government, inconsistent in government policy. One government was there trying to build a centralized wastewater treatment plant at the Yalaro there. Another government came and scrapped it up. What happened? And these are the things we need. If we have gotten that I think that wastewater treatment plant is supposed to treat close to 1,000 cubic meters of effluent per day. We have removed that pollutant from the system, from the water body. So somebody should query what is happening, what happened, why did they stop that? So these are the kind of inconsistency in policy of government that I said is one of the things that is a major challenge.
You mentioned something that this is a chain. The people themselves have a responsibility. The government has its responsibility, just as industries also have their responsibility. Let's look at the people now. Perhaps we can begin to address that gradually from the point of view of the people knowing how to better manage wastewater. What are their responsibilities specifically, and then we graduate to, okay, how we can tie all of this up. Are there alternatives to dealing with these things that government could adopt to make things easy for everyone?
Everywhere in the world now, everybody talk about circular economy, circular economy. It's the same thing in the wastewater industry. People responsibility is provide this sanitary ware in your house. Provide water. Everybody need water is life. Everybody need water. So definitely, if I'm building a house now, I'll provide my sewer line, my connection, all the toilet in my house will be connected to my underground, well, my borehole. So that's one of the responsibility of the people. Now, government should be the one now to take the responsibility of collecting and treatment of this sewage and wastewater coming from individual homes. So if I prepare myself, I'm expecting government to come. And this industry have commercialized itself right from the day whereby people know that if my septic tank is filled up, I'll go and call the truck people to come and take it. And the truck people is what the government should look into their activities. Where are you taking 20 million population excreta to? And don't forget that Lagos have high water table. The land use settlement of Lagos is not is what we make the way the soccer way we filled up, because the water table is very high. So it will not, at least frequently you should empty your soccer way 2 or 3 times in a year in Lagos.
Really?
Yes. Because of the high water table. Okay,
but you rarely see that happen.
What's happening? People are cutting corner. If the regulator should go there and check who are the people checking. Now, how can an estate be estate of about 75 units of homes? They don't have wastewater treatment plant, but they have water supply system. They have water supply system within the estate. Where is the wastewater treatment plant? And there are so many little infrastructure that can change the narrative. They are there. We have the containerized system that will treat 500 cubic meter of wastewater every day. If you say any estate, no matter where you are, you must give us your wastewater treatment plan, since we cannot afford to do decentralized anymore. So you must give us your wastewater management plan before we approve the construction of the estate for you, before people start living there. In fact, we will be the one to even inspect the construction. So this will reduce the amount of wastewater going into the public, into our public water body. Then at the same time, industries too. I talk of industries that are producing large effluent.
Yes.
They should have at least pre-treatment. If you now have pre-treatment, we cannot do maybe piping any longer. Maybe we should try trucking. If we can truck petroleum resources, then we can truck wastewater from industry and take it to the wastewater treatment plant wherever it's located. So these are infrastructure government, I think government should put in place for us to be able to move ahead. But without that, we'll still keeping killing our population. And don't forget, lack of proper sanitation. 1.3% of the GDP, amounting to $1 billion, is what is affected. Right. In terms of productivity. If currently we have 50 million people in Nigeria that lack proper sanitation, 10 million homes, that should be worrisome to any government in power.
Absolutely. And that's a fine place to leave the conversation this morning. MDC, your Mark Press West Africa Limited, Idowu Salawu, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.